This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.
Good evening. Good evening. It is Going Off Grid, episode 16. I am Sheep Bender, one of your co-hosts here, along with Crypto Queen. And we appreciate everyone out there tonight on X, formerly the artist known as Twitter. And everybody out there tuning in the podcast world worldwide. Podcast land worldwide, I should say. Got a lot of things to go over tonight. But before I do that, let's get this disclaimer out the way. This is not financial advice. You can lose all your money investing. This is also not for educational or entertainment purposes. I nor anyone that is speaking is a financial, political, legal, medical, betting, or any type of expert advisor. These are our thoughts and opinions on different topics only. This is being recorded for future rebroadcast and clips on other platforms. Thank you. Queen, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Bender?
If I was doing any better, my name be Queen.
I'm just here for the celebrity sighting. I heard there would be celebs here.
I heard you conjured up that tweet. They're now trying to manifest it. I am definitely not a celeb.
Hey, once a celeb, always a celeb.
We'll say a little more known than average in real life, but I would definitely not call myself a celeb. Big shouts out to Dosey, though. He's a celeb. He's in the building. We're going to talk about Dosey tonight. Appreciate you coming through, as well as any others. But before I do that, Queen, I've already done disclaimers. Any community shout outs that you'd like to do?
Let's see.
Queen.
I'm going to shout out the community. Can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to shout out the community that's always positive, always uplifting everybody, staying together through these terrible bear markets. It seems like this bear market might never, but I see you guys out there. I see you, Bender, in the morning doing your inspirational SHIB message, and Dosey for all you do for the community projects. And just thankful for you guys. Thankful for those up here to support us. If you guys would retweet the room, maybe we can get some more of those folks in. I know we had a lot so maybe they'll hop in as we get started. But thanks for being here, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of my community shout outs here. I'm actually trying to find the bookmarks, but first one I want to do is I want to shout out all the graduates. I didn't get a chance to do this last week, so I want to make sure I congratulate all of those graduates out there, whether it's high school, whether it's middle school, college, I don't care what you're doing. You passed, you got grades that are passing in life. It is a step in the right direction on this journey. I'm not saying I'll never say school isn't for anything, because learning is always good, but you got to know the basics and reading, writing, arithmetic, those kind of things. No offense to the 90% of the probably homeschool kids, parents out there, but there's a reason why teachers exist. So, and my mom's a teacher too, so I am a little biased on that. Let me just say that. But salute to all the graduates out there. Next, I also want to all my Geminis, just because we get a lot of hate. It is officially Gemini season, our time to shine. The summer solstice is on the last day of Geminis. It's not a coincidence that the sun just wants to go farther away from the planet and make it really cold after Gemini season. Just my humble observation. But shout out to all my Geminis. And every other, we're not haters, so shout out to all the horoscopes too. But this right now to the 21st is our time. Also, pool season. those of y'all that are out there enjoying the pool, salute to you guys. Um, let's see here, and I think I had one more. Oh yes, I'm going to find this one here in my bookmarks, but I wanted to say huge shout out to SRV this week. SRV is developing an AI. The best way I can describe it from his suite, it was like a stopgap, like a save point. But SRV is developing a AI that will have basically check itself before it moves to the next step, which I found incredible with that one too. So salute to him. And I want to put this one up here, but I want to salute you, Dosi. You made the list today here. So Dosi randomly on one of my thoughts of the day had put this picture of a frog in there. And I had just so happened later on that morning, or it might have been the next day, I don't know, within 24 hours, I was on a trail. And I happened to run across, because it's been like, flooding out here, a lot of rain, a lot of craziness, that kind of thing. And on the trail, I happened to run across a massive snapping turtle. I shouldn't say massive, but a good mid-size, look like it's old, looks like it would have took my wrist off if I had gotten close enough to it. I was trying to take the pictures far away. Snapping turtle. So I put this snapping turtle as a reply back to Dosi, and shout out to Pixie and Andrea from Tutti Frutti Women, but they also happen to be in the thread too, and they just start breaking out random real life nature turtle pics. So just salute to you guys, and just some nature and all that's beautiful with that. Queen, I know you are used to raising like wombats and giraffes down there in the Gulf. What's your favorite? What's your favorite thing that you've just run across in nature?
It has to be a turtle. I just have a special place in my heart for turtles. When I was a kid, I had box turtles growing up and water turtles, and even all my turtles alive as an adult. I've been trying very hard. So I've still got one swimming around in my tank, and I just really love him. I got him trained to come up to eat when I open the tank and everything. He's super cute. But then I love the squirrels too. I do love a baby squirrel.
That's awesome. I didn't know you had a turtle. I knew about the squirrel. I remember you talking about that one in the spaces.
He's like a smooth back water turtle. He's really cute. He's probably about 4 inches, and he's got this long neck. It's crazy when he sticks his neck out. It's like, whoa, where'd that come from? And he's really cool though.
That's awesome. I did not have the privilege of a turtle growing up. If you got any pictures of that turtle, Queen, I'm gonna post this up here in the Jumbotron. Put it in the comments here on this thread. We want to see your turtle if you got any pictures of it. But if there's some that you can disclose, I should say. But growing up, I never had a turtle. Long story short, but my cousin, and the reason why I took a picture of the snapping turtle, me and him used to go up to the lake, and he would always capture turtles and snakes and crazy stuff. But he had this snapping turtle, and at the time I was like a child. I'm in the city. I had no clue what I was looking at. But he had this massive snapping turtle that he had got from the lake, and like he would just feed it live like fish and stuff, and we would just sit there and watch this turtle for hours, and it would just sit there real calm with his mouth open. It just wow, like I mean, it was so fast, y'all. I was like mind blown. Like I was a little kid. He's teaching me. He's like, man, don't you ever stick your hand in here. Your fingers will be gone. Like I'm like, holy cow, this turtle. So yeah, I wanted something that was like, not going to bite me, that kind of thing. And I always thought like those little ones that kind of hang out in the sand desert ones were really cool. So, but I don't know. I now I want to travel. Maybe I'll get one when I'm more settled back in. But yeah, turtles are cool. Long story short, and they're one of my favorite things to see at the zoo. Shout out to everybody in the room here. Crypto fam, I see you in the building along with Gabby, Decent, Barkowski, Dosi, everybody, thank you so much. Appreciate y'all coming through. Anybody's got a space, anything we don't hate, put it down there in the comments. We do get post listeners. I know Gabby will probably have something crazy for tomorrow on Seat at the Table. Crypto Fans always got some good ones going. Decent. I've been a part of some of your stuff there too. Just saying, if y'all ain't got a space, put down your TG. How about that? Put down something. But thank you. And everybody coming out here tonight. So before we go into Queens, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm having, yeah. Space Penguins, girl, good to see you too. My brain's coming down off work, y'all. And I've taken some relaxation things.
I put my
Legal.
I put my turtle in the comments. He's down. He's waiting for Mr. Bender to look at him.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's cute, Dosey. I love the adopted life hack. I'm sorry, y'all. Oh wow, look at that. Look at that. Oh my gosh, Queen. You got what you got? You got a life-size tank for him? You got a real habitat? Did you just do connect the creek to your wall? Massive, bro.
Yeah, I had to get a little tuck, and he's kind of outgrowing it. The water turned green. I'm on the way to turn it back blue. You see.
Oh my gosh, man. That tank looks like it's for a freaking anaconda. I love it. Shout out to you. All right, y'all. So I'm gonna get this one out the way early because I'm going there tonight. Queen, I'm just gonna be straight up with you. There's some days. Zach from Subway, thank you for coming in the building. Queen SRV, I just shouted you out too, man. Posted you up, man. Congratulations. I hope the AI project works out well. It sounds really cool. Sounds like some kind of like stop save point thing for AI. I just found it cool, man. You made my community shout-outs on a week. But this one, I just got to keep it real with you, Queen. Sometimes I like to keep you in a state of plausible deniability. That's what I'm going to put that as. Today's one of those days, y'all. When we said we're going off grid, and sometimes we're going to go on to topics that you probably shouldn't be on electronic devices yet we're on electronic devices going. This is one of those days, y'all. And I'm just going to be honest with y'all when I say this. It was in my heart that after I saw this and gathered information about it, I'm not going to be the expert on it. But there was a couple of things this week, and I'll go a little bit at that kind of led up to this point today. And I just I'm gonna just say it like this: like in the spirit of Tupac, who was born on June 16th, also a Gemini, but he had a famous saying on one of his albums, and it was it goes a coward dies 1,000 deaths, a soldier only dies once. And I thought about that this week, and I said, you know what? MF and Soldier up this week. It's just that time. So I'm going to get into it, y'all. Queen, if you'd like to chime in later, feel free. Otherwise, give me a moment here. So, first off, I'm gonna go on the lighter note. Well, no, I'm gonna do the lighter note. Yeah, I'm gonna do the lighter note first. The White House granted Iran the World Cup players a visa to enter the United States. Then proceeded. I just saw today that Homeland Security was catching up some photographers or something like that. I don't know. It's crazy, but yeah, the White House let Iran soccer team in for the World Cup, which I think I can go here, there. But during the war, here we are. That's the state of affairs. But what really caught my eye here was this week the House had passed a $9 billion Ukraine bill. 18 Republicans joined the Democrats in that and actually passing this bill. And, it did kind of trigger me. Don't let me lie. It did kind of trigger me, not only for the fact, it's $9 billion. And when you look at it from a taxpayer standpoint, it's about $70 between about 165 million taxpayers on average. Just Grok said it's probably really about 110 million, which actually probably ups it to about, probably about 90, 110, per person that we paid in this little chip in. But then you go back into like 900 billion was spent in December of 2025 for the defense bill. 400 million of that was already subjugated Ukraine. Why we got another war going on, in regards to that one. So I was just like, man, the uniparty and so on and so forth. And when you really think about it, the thing that really caught me personally is that we couldn't even get the government open until April 30th. Like a lot of our own TSA workers went out without checks. Whatever federal part of the, body of federal stuff. I live in an area that's got a lot of federal stuff, federal offshoots there that, people just didn't get paid because they're considered federal workers. So, why they, argued about, trying to shut stuff down. But lo and behold, we're right back to it. And, everybody can come together yet to pass more defensive stuff. So there's that. But this one, y'all, I'm just going to be honest with you, really kind of caught my attention this week. And it is Section 222, 622, and Section 224 of the FY27 Intelligence Authorization Act. Now, I'm not the expert on this. I'm not going to go deep into it, but one's being brought up by the House, one's being brought up by the Senate, but our Congress is involved in both of them in terms of this. And basically what it is, it's a lot of merging of our defense along with Israel's defense, our surveillance along with Israel surveillance, coming in and merging together. And a lot of the money that's out in the open is going undercover under this. And there's just a lot going on, y'all. And we have a lot of already cooperation and money going towards them and everything like that. That's no secret. But there's a reason why they are introducing this bill at this time to merge. And from what I've gathered from Grok, it's basically if these two merge in this sense, we don't really even have a standalone country at this point. Because like if you're in the military and you have to, per se, let's say, keep tabs on another country, and then all of a sudden that country still has all the information that you have now because you've merged all your technology. They're seeing what you're seeing in real time. They know what you know in real time, that kind of thing, which might already be the case. But it's not in writing. But then, like, what do you do if you have to take action against that country? And you know what? I'm not here. First off, let me say this. I am not a Jewish hater. I got Jewish people in my family, like straight up in my family. My biggest influence was a Jewish school teacher who's actually probably a lot of what I'm talking about today and my thought process on things is things that I learned from this teacher. And real long story short, I wouldn't even be alive without a Jewish person. And that's a whole other subject and content matter I'll go off into one day maybe with y'all. But I wouldn't even be here right now without a Jewish person. So it's not that. But we got to call balls and strikes. Israel is an influence on the world. And I do believe they hold a very prominent place in what we are considering, which is coming as the New World Order. But they're not the only ones. Like the United States is in on it. Russia starts wars. They get the money flowing in terms of that too. China could literally end the war right now. I don't know if y'all remember this, but I mentioned it a couple of spaces ago. They supply, use pretty much all the supplies and everything for the missiles with us. So if they're Iran's ally, they could literally just stop the missile supply and just kind of just like be done with the war or future wars, in terms of that. I mean, that's just how integrated they are in the supply chain. Like I told y'all last week, 60% of the AI data centers, are supplied by Taiwan to China. in regards to that. So they could stop a lot of stuff if they wanted to. But I think all the big Western civilization, Australia and UK are literally, they took the guns out of the hands of their citizens, and they're just, they're just running rampant on free speech out there. Like everybody's in on it. Like, don't get me wrong. Like I've got a very broad worldview on this. With everything, but this one in particular, y'all, and the thing that upsets me the most is that Congress is the one that's introducing this bill, and it was basically a bill that Benjamin Netanyahu did basically bring up as an idea concept. I don't know who did the fine print behind the scenes, but Benjamin Netanyahu did actually send Congress a letter thanking them for introducing this bill that he had thought of. To kind of make a paraphrase of that one. And y'all can go look that up on here too as well. It's all out in the open. In fact, I'm going to just share this one here right for y'all. This basically, because it kind of caught my attention. I knew it was bad when Elon had asked somebody if it was true in the comments, and Grok was like, yeah, and it just kind of took off from there. And then I just happened to be in the space Saturday, and it's like 4 hours long, and it's crazy. But, it's basically our Congress that's doing this. With everything, and it's not right. And I looked up, the makeup of Congress. It's like over 80% are Christians. So if you want to look at it that way, you got that there. Over 74% are non-Hispanic white males. So if you want to look at it that way, well, it's checkmate there. It's literally, just people that we vote for, just selling us down the line. And like I said before, it's not. It could be any country. I don't care. I really don't care. It could be Japan. It could be England. I don't care. Like, I don't think any of them have that, panache to integrate themselves in our military. And literally, if this happens, it's pretty much on paper, in my opinion, the end of our sovereignty. And I don't know what to do from there. So we'll see. But I just wanted to kind of get that one out the way. Queen, I don't know how much you were up here, I just let you back up. But if you have anything you want to follow up with, great. If not, we'll go ahead and go into Lessons from the Trenches. Oh, Queen, are you there? Am I here? Uh-oh. Queen, listen, they might kick her off, y'all. I might have made too many trigger words here. I'm sorry. Julie Cat, I see you in the building. Thank you for coming up here. While we wait for Queen here, I will say this. Uh-oh. Queen, can we get you back? Let me see here. I'm going to try to add you as a speaker. Oh, she's connected. Queen, can we hear you? I can hear you now.
It's Wi-Fi. I don't know what it is. Rural Mississippi, I guess. But anyway, trench lessons this week. I've kind of decided to do it a little differently, just while things were fresh in my brain. I do the most recent trench lessons instead of going back in time. So we'll see how that works out. But this week's lesson is on the art of the block. And I don't know how many people that you have blocked. It's certainly not something that I, look forward to doing or, count my numbers. There are very few people I've blocked. But I think when you're on crypto Twitter, especially during the bear market, things can get just a little spicy sometimes. And, passions get overheated, and you say things maybe you wouldn't say otherwise because just, the weight of the market, your losses or potential losses are kind of weighing on you, and you get a little heated. And I think, kind of my, something to remember is when, if I get off X, I'm still thinking about that conversation, and it's something, that's negative. It's not something that's positive or making, my mindset in a better place. That's usually the time that I would consider blocking, especially if it's a personal attack that's unwarranted. Sometimes you can say things you don't mean, and, you think about it and you're like, oh man, I shouldn't have said that, But once you put it in writing, it's there forever. The internet lives forever, and, that's always going to be there. And so someone will definitely take a screenshot of it, no matter how quickly you delete it. That's just the way it is these days. So just, I guess kind of think about what you're saying before you say it. Take a deep breath, maybe log off for a while, come back, and then decide, okay, hey, this is really not someone I want to continue engaging with. And, I kind of hate that X has the new feature or newer feature where you can still see someone's posts once you've blocked them, or they can see yours. I really think that was not a great decision, because, when I block somebody, I don't want them to see what I'm saying from then on forward. It's just like, okay, I'm not going to have this person interacting with me. And, it is unfortunate, but I guess it does make it a little bit easier not to see them in your feed day after day or what they're having to say. So basically, just some tips on, navigating this bear market. The fear spreads like wildfire. People panic, they lash out, and they flood feeds with FUD. Drama gets more engagement than calm takes. I think we've all seen that lately, especially with the new Twitter algo. It seems like the more doom posting you're doing, the more impressions you're going to get, and I don't really know why that is, but it's kind of unfortunate. Anonymity plus real money at stake is just a recipe for nastiness. Getting sucked in leads to crashing out. That's something we all want to be careful of. You don't want to be the person on the timeline that's having a meltdown in public, cussing at people and just doing things you wouldn't otherwise do in your normal personality, because someone's got you that mad. But yeah, it leads to doom scrolling, arguments, and emotional decisions that hurt your portfolio and your reputation. I'll add that. And some of this post talks about being a trader in this market, and how panic buys and sells at the worst times can be a risk of not blocking somebody that you otherwise should have. Lost sleep and foggy thinking, wasted energy on people who won't change. Those people who are never going to change. Like, no matter what you say to them, no matter how many facts you present to them, you could put a picture in black and white of, I don't know, something happening. Someone, a wallet, I guess, that did some kind of nasty crypto hack, and they would still say it never happened, even though it's black and white on the blockchain. Whatever their narrative is so ingrained in their brain, they're just not going to believe you no matter what. So why this protects you? Muting and blocking isn't weak or mean. It's smart and compassionate. And I'll put an asterisk there. Compassionate for you, for your mental health. I just think it's so important these days to protect our mental health, because it's coming at us from every angle, whether it's the economy or problems in real life. You don't want to log on to your escape, which sometimes is social media, and just have these things come bombarding you again. It's just too much sometimes. But it guards your mental health from constant negativity. It keeps your focus sharp so you make better trades or decisions, puts you in control of your timeline and your headspace, and then saves your pocketbook by reducing noise and bad impulses. And I'll just say a few quick tips. Block, mute, fast, and guilt-free. If you want to mute them, you may not necessarily want to do the full block. Just mute them. They won't show up in your timeline. You'll have to search really hard to find out what they've had to say. They can still see what you're saying easily, but you don't have to listen to or read what they're saying. And do it quickly. Don't think about it and dwell on it too long. Just do it quick, make that cut, and it's done with. Avoid rage bait accounts. Follow more builders and fewer drama accounts. Your feed should help you win, not drain you. Protect your peace. The market will still be here tomorrow. So that's blocks. I wanted to get you guys' takes on, have you blocked somebody, or is there, you don't have to say the name or the account, but is there a particular account that you've seen on your feed where you're just like, oh my gosh, if I see another post from this person, I'm going to scream, and you block them, and then your day is better? Bender, have you had that experience?
Not quite that. First off, before I forget, I did want to say, I think the reason why you can now be seen after you block somebody or vice versa, don't quote me on this, but the rumor was allegedly that Grimes had blocked Elon. He couldn't see her tweets anymore, so he kind of adjusted that rule. I think it's one of the things that social media has to be able to let you do is block people, like if you want to. In terms of that, I don't know how he kind of got around with that, with the block but see you type of thing, but yeah. That's don't quote me on that, but that's the
Yeah, it's just
rumor.
so weird because our platforms that I'm on, like especially on TikTok, when you block somebody, that's it. You can't see anything. Their account is just disappeared basically, unless you log in from
Yeah,
like log in as nobody and you're just looking at TikTok in general. You can see their post, but not as yourself. Not you know not easily. I guess I could say. So why is this just on X, or is it just on X?
again, I've never seen it on anything but X, where you can have this like transparent block through, see through, I should say, but block see through. But I will say the rumor is like Grimes, his main baby mom, blocked him. He couldn't see her tweets, so he made up this so everybody could get it access to it. In terms of that, don't quote me, but that's all I've heard. Anyway, but to answer your initial question, because I wanted to make that point while I was thinking about it, because I know you had said that earlier and everything. I've probably never blocked anybody just for annoying me, type of thing. Like never that. Like, and I follow over 12,000 people, so I get some pretty annoying, stupid stuff. I've had I don't know. I've got the biggest putters of Shiba or whatever crypto you can think of all time, typically on my timeline. If not, they're up there. They're enough. I'll put it that way. So that kind of stuff doesn't annoy me. The only time I typically will ever block somebody is A, if I just know that they're a scammer. B, if they have interacted with me and to a point where it's not a good a conducive conversation anymore. That type of thing. Like I did have a hater. He had been posting she'd hate things for months. Finally said something about my mom. I didn't respond. I just blocked him. Like, okay, we're going there now because I think he was trying to do it to get my attention. So I blocked him on that. And people that blocked me first, yeah, that's about it. But outside of that, like I let the haters watch. Come by, say hi. It's usually a good sign. Of where my tweets are at if they're emotionally triggering you. I like to gauge that kind of stuff. I do scientific mental experiments on here. Sometimes and that kind of thing. But yeah, it for me personally, it takes a lot to block somebody.
I'm impressed. It doesn't take a lot from me. Um, if it, for me, it's the defamation part of it, right? And I recently blocked an individual, and it's probably the same individual that Jen did, but for me personally, it's that someone that I've met personally and have looked someone eye to eye, and they're still willing because of the size of their bags, which are down 99%, because I did the blockchain sleuthing on it. They're down 99%. They got massive bags. They're down massive. And they're willing to defend those bags over someone they met face to face and understand their ordeal and what they're going through, but are willing to throw that person under the bus for their own gain. And at that point, it's kind of it stings so massively hard. Um, yeah, it's really hurtful. So for me, the block is to just manage my mental health. Um, that if I don't use it, I'm subjecting myself to more pain and suffering than I should endure. Because back in the day, in my worst, and I've had my worst days in front of everybody. I've been so transparent on that. I've had my best days and my worst days in front of everybody. I've had my crash outs. I've had my high moments. Everything played out. I'm telling you, I if I could roll the clock back right now and have those bad moments not be there, I'd be in so much of a happier state than I am now. I am in a happy state, but I could be in a lot happier state if I had just simply the courage to do that. Um, I'm just shocked at the level that certain people are willing to go through to benefit themselves and then act pits, and it just shocks me. In certain people, Jen, for example, is an amazing individual. I've met her, you met her, a lot of us have met her. An amazing individual, sacrifices so much for the community, goes to these conferences, spends godly hours, uh, just literally contributing to the community and helping us be better, and to be treated awful, right? So, I don't. I pale in comparison. I wish I could be someone as good as that, but but to see someone like that be treated awfully, right? That's where the block button comes into play, right? Because it becomes defamation. No one deserves that. Uh, and we're dealing with cultures right now. The toxicity of cult crypto right now is a problem. It's a big problem because I was in a Discord lurking, and I saw that if you do not propagate or support the lore, LORE, you will be banned. The lore. You have to support the lore, or you'll be banned. And I thought about that for a minute. You have to believe now the Genesis, the stories, all these things. You have to accept that all is true. And if anywhere in this thing you cannot freely disagree on, you're banned. I was like, holy cow, we have become the cult, and um, if you do anything wrong, you will be treated god awful, and that is very Machiavellistic. I don't know what the right word is, but it and quite harmful and toxic. So that's my thought on it. I don't know what you all think, but that's what woke me up very early on and made me start walking away from things. Is that I don't want to be subjected to that. I don't answer to anybody. I run my own company. Nobody tells me how to run my company. It's none of their fucking business. So, that's my point. So yeah, I use the block button a lot more freely than I guess you do. But I
Yeah,
guess
you said a couple. Sorry,
Go
sorry,
ahead, Coin.
Light Sweet. I was just gonna say you said a couple of things there that really resonated with me, like bag bias. I think that's so powerful. Like all your rational senses go out the window when you're so far down and you've overcommitted yourself and you're, done what everybody tells you what not to do is to invest more than you can afford to lose. And you almost get to a desperate state at that point where no one can really reason with you because you have this set in your mind, whether it's the XRP army, the SHIB army, whatever your cult is, you're just so that stuff is so ingrained in your brain that you're not willing to hear anything else. And no matter how many facts you present them, and I try to come at them with information. I think that's the only way that I found to, really have that bell ring and someone's not get offended by what you're saying because it's facts. And they can dispute them or not, and that's fine. But when they come at you with those personal attacks, it's almost like, okay, this person I thought I knew, this is what they were really thinking the whole time. It comes out when they're passionate and when they're kind of having a public crash out, and you're like, okay, well, that's what they thought about me. Well, I don't really need this person in my life. It's only now that they tell me or that I'm hearing what they really thought. And it's really unfortunate because we've met a lot of these people in public, hugged them, shaken their hand, had conversations about family with them, and then, for a token to make that much of a difference and to have them, turn because of a price of a token is just so crazy and hard to believe for me, but it happens.
And I think it's all comes down to money, right? Money can, and we've had um, a lot of us here have come to value our friendships more than that, right? We took our losses together and we wrote it off. Okay, we're now in a new year. Our tax accountants have written it off. so, so you got all those numbers and those figures and the pluses and minuses out of the way, and what remains is what we got that ties us together. And I, I, and in some cases, I don't know everybody's history here, but I've gone through some dark times the previous cycle and the cycle before that. And every time I come out, the only thing that comes out of that every single time are my buds. The real ones, not the ones that threw me under the bus or treated me like shit, but just good people. And so at the end of the day, I realized, I got to somewhere along the spectrum find out where my value system is. But there are some people, it's all about that dollar. And right now I am watching, and again, let's just be nice. We're not going to throw names out today, but I am watching one individual who has kept me on 6 hours of debate on a voice call, really questioning right now what he is fighting for. And that's what it comes down to, because at the end of the day, are you a pawn on a chessboard where there are leaders who really need to be stepping up and doing this for you? Eventually people are going to get tired and they don't want to carry that water for other people. And that's ultimately a waiting game on my part. I can show them, I'll give them what they need to do to pay attention to. They will insult me, they will hate me, but I know that it's now in their mind, right? And they can't not pay attention to it now from that point on. And in this case, it took half a year, but I'm watching one person right now, seeing that, they're coming to terms with this. There's still a lot of wishy-washy and trying to cagey with the terms, but we're going to see more people realize that when your leaders are absent for half a year, and in another case even longer, and want to ignore you, or you're tagging them and giving them all your support, but that person can't even be bothered to even say, I truly appreciate your support. It means a lot to me. Thank you very much for these kind words. I'm double down on what I'm going to do for you. That's what a good leader does. They're in there every single day. They're talking, they're communicating, taking the fall. We're going to make mistakes. Good leaders know they're never going to be perfect. Just own up to it. I screwed up on this one, my friends. I made a call here. It didn't fit right. But this one I'm going to try to do to be better. I'm only around because of the fact that I've owned up to my most colossal mistakes in life. That is the only reason why I think I'm still around to this day. It's because of that, and explaining how I'm going to do my best to be better, or how I'm going to do my best to try to make things right for people, or how I'm going to overcome an unfortunate event. And that last part is what is really 75% of what happens, right? Is we're going to do everything right, but circumstances are just going to overcome us, and they're going to defeat us, and then they're going to defeat the leader, and they're going to defeat everybody that follows them, right? So then they just want to know, well, then what next? And I think that's super important. So I'll stop here. I'll get off my soapbox.
Bender, you don't have to raise your hand.
I do. You're in charge.
Raise his hand. That's kind of funny.
Thank you for allowing me to speak, Queen. So I will say, on both of y'all's cases, I was thinking about some things here, Mr. Lightspeed, while you were talking. I will say, for me personally, I don't have anywhere to the level of haters y'all got. I've seen your haters. Like I get some sheep hate, win price, one pump, that kind of thing. It kind of goes sideways. But I've been in some debate moments in some threads and that kind of thing, but it's not from a standpoint of leadership in a project. Lots of millions in the wallets and people's depending on that livelihood or what have you, not the reason why they invested on the line. So let me say that, Queen, on your side, I've seen you be courageous and speak out on a lot of things, and There are some. I have to take that back. There was a couple of blocks in particular. I was friends with these people. I saw the way they were talking to you, and I've just blocked them. Like, dude, I'm not. Like, y'all don't do that to people I know. Like, we've gone. Like, it's one thing if you wanted to make the typical rounds on the debate, stand your point, defend your bag, that kind of thing. But when you get to viciously attacking people's personal character and that kind of thing online, that is especially for people I know. If I don't know you and I see that, I might not want to be involved with you. So I might have just blocked it if I had just been scrolling by and I had seen that kind of language and hey, go at somebody. Um, in regards to that, which I had never seen, but that was enough. But especially when it comes to people I know, like, yeah, we're done here. And I had known them and then followed them for a while with that one too. But yeah, we're just done here with everything. So yeah, I have to say, from that standpoint, that y'all's level of reasons for blocking are far greater than mine. Like I have thousands of blocks, but 99% of them are just like spam scammers, like that kind of thing. I probably have blocked probably the next 80 or 90% is people that follow me. I followed them back, then they unfollowed me. Next thing you know, they only got 2 followers. They got like 10,000 followers. I figured they're just using some kind of program to find people that follow back typically. So I just blocked them so we don't have to keep going doing that over and over. And I probably got about 50 haters. Yeah, that's about it. Like after that, like my list is, yeah. So and a lot of that stuff, like 90% of it, I can't just scroll by. But again, I'm not getting tagged like, hey, this is your project. I'm losing thousands. That kind of, like I'm not involved with these kind of conversations either. So, just wanted to say that. Queen, I know you've been having connection issues. I didn't want to go on a rant there. What was your thoughts?
No, I was just wanted to follow up on what Mr. Lightspeed was saying about leaders being absent. And I've watched a lot of these leaders after hacks, and we've had so many in DeFi here lately over the last 6 months or so. And I've watched how they move and how the community, engages with them and interacts afterward. And I think, we can forgive leaders for mistakes, but we can't forgive them for a lack of accountability or for ghosting us in times of need. And I think that's the difference here. And in these situations, other leaders step up and, help guide the community, help them understand. And you saw with Kelp DAO how they stepped up and kind of took accountability right away, how Layer Zero, didn't, and they threw Kelp DAO under the bus. And, who knows who's going to come out and ahead in that situation. But I definitely saw the difference in the way they moved and the way they, engaged and interacted with their community and the postmortems that we all need. I mean, I think so many of us just really, we feel like we know what happened, but we don't officially know what happened. We haven't gotten that word yet. It's been, goodness, how long? We're probably going on 9 months now since the hack, and we still don't have a postmortem. When the Kelp DAO postmortem, the Drift Protocol hack, all those that we've had lately have come out within days, a week at the most, and we're still waiting 9 months later. That's just unacceptable to me. And I am going to speak up about those things because I think it's not the way you treat a community. And hopefully there's a reason for that. The officials are involved and, they're not able to speak. But I think that's just, I don't know. Mr. Lightspeed, what's your take on that as far as like gag orders and stuff?
I don't know about gag order because I don't think there is one. No one's gagging me right at the moment. For lack of better word, so I can speak freely. I'm expecting at some point an attorney's going to come up and tell me, "Hey, you need to stop blabbing away here." But until someone does that, I don't have a witness protection program. I don't have. By the way, there may be some people who are, but I don't. So I'm free and clear. I'll pass it out there. I'll pass anything I got out there for now. But we got individuals.
Valid reason. Oh, I'm sorry.
There's a
I was
lot.
just saying, can you see any valid reason as to why we don't have a postmortem right now?
No, no, there's not. Anyone who says otherwise, like we don't want to tip our adversaries over to this information, which is exactly what Mass said, is full of shit. I've dealt with um, infrastructure issues with our intelligence agency at the enterprise level. So I'm talking the entire NGA or the entire FBI or the entire Navy level of problems. We had that resolved within 7 days. 48 days was our target. So to see that level of professionalism and then see this now drug out, good God, and the excuses are just weak. Right, they're not professional. They're very amateurish. It just gives me this feeling of individuals who are just way above their head and don't have the professional capacity or the business acumen to deal with these challenges. And that's really the problem I speak to a lot is when projects like this get to a certain point, we need those individuals to recognize when to step aside and bring in the pros. Okay, congratulations. You got your project big. Now it is up to you to bring in very competent professional individuals who can lead this stuff and support them wholeheartedly. And that is the second part. So that is a two-part equation that has been failed, by the way. Unfortunately, they'll bring in the right people, but then they won't back them, right? Because they want to maintain their, for lack of better words, place in the space. Wow, I just rhymed. I just did that. but but you see what I'm saying? That's the problem that we have is there are going to be projects that are just going to hit it and they just need to know, okay, we got all this money now, let's just form something here and let's bring in the pros. But I haven't seen a big project like that hits like that, especially a meme token that is willing to take that next step. And so that's the problem that we have now, right? That we're dealing with, Jen. That's exactly the problem. And so they go and run and hide in India
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.
for one developer, Puerto Rico for another, shell companies in New Mexico, another shell company in Delaware, another shell company in Panama. That's my current effort right now is just to expose all the owners of all these companies. Um, yeah, it's just not right for people to hide behind this stuff and allow other people to take the fall. That's just so disgraceful. But people do that. People are still willing to take the fall. Why? They don't care about you. That's the part I don't get.
Yeah, and I think so many times when the money runs out, you see these people who are diehard for the ecosystem, whether it be a marketing role or a developer role, they're not interested anymore, and they run to the next project where they can, make some money. And I think that's a lot what we're seeing as well.
It's just that things start throwing up red flags left and right, and you go, "What's going on here?" And who would believe this? Oh my God, peanut butter. We're now dealing with peanut butter. I'm like going, "What the heck is going on? Can we just get back to the blockchain for crying out loud?" Oh my God, I'm just so confused right now. What the heck is going on? And that's why if there's one thing, there's one. First off, I don't like what Cal's doing. I think he's ran away from the problem, and I think there's other leaders that ran away from the problem. But he said one thing super duper smart that anyone who's been in business understands is that anything that's not profitable, you need to cast off. And he said it. And still, those individuals who will throw salute symbols and tag him are ignoring that good advice. So he threw it out once, We need to do this. We're going to get ourselves right. We need to cast away anything that's not profitable. He realized then. So let me think about it. Okay, I'm going to be fair. I'm going to throw this one around 180. I told them all we have to do this. They ignored me, but they're still going to elevate me. They're going to ignore me. They're not going to cast away the things that are not profitable. Why do I need to stick around? This is not fun. It's not enjoyable. I'm just going to get thrown under the bus. You know what? Screw it. I'm just going to ignore them for the next 6 months. You know what? If I were Cal, I may be doing the same thing if I look at it from that way, but I'm just kind of shooting from the hip here. I know I dug them hard here recently on a post, but I can kind of see and empathize a little bit here. You know, I'm a human being. I'm trying to be a human being. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I know you have a lot of experience with like the Safe Moon stuff. And like, at what point do the authorities take over and they have no choice but to open their books? I mean,
Ooh. Oh,
when does,
brought up SafeMoon. Um, yes, on SafeMoon. I'm a creditor on SafeMoon. Um, I'm on an appendix in the legal documents amongst a very short list of creditors. These are people who put up funds to lift up SafeMoon to be the success that they are. So these are institutions that are owed colossal amounts of money. I'd be colossally rich today, my friends, if it wasn't for Coroni. But my justice today is he's in jail. His brother, though, is still out, and some many individuals who are fighting me and the other creditors, and then thus all the holders in bankruptcy case. The the problem with this comes down to the fact that lawyers need to be paid for their work. It's god awful expensive. There are people who are managing the all the estates and all the funds and everything. By the time it's all said and done, it's pennies on the dollar. I'm not going to see anything. You know what? Whatever can be done to help with the holders is fine by me at this point. I've accepted my L. I got my win. I already got the justice. Coroni's in jail. Um, um, Likewise, fast forward to today. I've been through this already. Um, I already know how this is going to work. Eventually, a DA is going to find interest in this. And that's all really what it takes. It's a waiting game. They're collecting evidence. They're not going to feel it's worth their time. There are politics involved going on with district attorneys. They want to get a Clarity Act through and all these other things, right? So people are only going to blow up things at certain times when it. This is just me seeing one cycle through it already. That it benefits a lot of things in motion at once. Um, so, and of course that was a different circumstance back with SafeMoon, with their legal entities. Coroni and some of the other people were a lot more. They weren't hiding behind shell companies. All the ship companies are shells, or they're using registered companies. Like if you go into Panama, every person on that company is a Panamanian from the LLC that formed their LLC. Oh, it's really confusing, my friends. But it's all designed to hide the people behind it. So for SHIB, it's even more complicated than SafeMoon ever was for that reason. The companies that paid and did payroll were in Delaware, the shell companies there. The gaming and other LLCs in New Mexico overlap with Panama, and some have the same names and conflicting ownership. And then some even have their privacy policies pointing to accidentally to skeptical websites. So it's all a mess. That one is a lot harder than Safeman ever was. That's what I'm seeing just from my having gone through this already once before.
And I went through the Celsius bankruptcy, and that was a little more cut and dry because we had a Docs founder, and we had a lot of money involved, and maybe that's the difference, that there were very rich creditors that had a lot of money to throw at these, the litigation expenses, etc. But at what point do the treat VC folks, the Animokas, and I don't even know who else was a VC. When do they start getting involved, or do they? Do they just consider it a seed fund that didn't work out, or do they go for their money?
Everything went wrong with Safeman because I know I did some things like I flew all the way to Utah. I went into Safeman headquarters. I took pictures along the way, pictures in front of their headquarters doors. I took pictures of me signing the legal documents, right, in front of the actual people. So that's just evidence galore. So that's what did that in. And that was just a little drop in a huge pile of evidence, right? So please, I don't want to make it look like I was a massive aspect of it. There were other creditors far larger than me, for sure. So please, I don't want this to look like me. I'm tooting a horn. For over in this other case, though, I think the challenge is going to be because there's so much obfuscation and people propping up other people to be their face while they hide behind anonymity. And it's that foundation that needs to be revealed and put a face behind that foundation. And when that happens, then things will then start happening pretty quickly. We know the names, we know the individuals for all these names, right? We know who Cal is, we know who Shaitoshi is, we know who all these names are. But there are other dots that need to be connected, right? Are they on the foundation? Are they on the Panama companies? Are they on the New Mexico companies? Are they the ones that are hiding behind the Delaware companies? We're talking about 5 to 6 now. And so that's a challenge. Somebody may have already figured that out, by the way, besides me. And I think that it has happened. I think there are people who are way further along on this. I'm just here on a panel talking from someone who is probably a couple of years behind some individuals who have been putting a lot of hard work into this, and I'm playing catch up. If they're here on an anonymous, just listening in, then I'll just say happy to share notes and contribute. In some cases, they have reached out and just asked to compare notes and contribute. But if there are other people that just want to, hey, are you willing to provide everything you got? I go, yeah, sure. What do I got at this point? I got nothing to lose. That's where we're at, but it's definitely a harder puzzle to solve than anything I've ever saw in Safeman, and that was really hard. It was extremely difficult.
Yeah. Someone said something today that made a whole lot of sense in hindsight. They said, what do you expect from investing huge sums of money in people that wear masks in public? And I was like, you got a good point there. It was all part of the lore at the time, and we were all just, entranced by it. But looking back, that really didn't make a lot of sense. Like, what did we expect here?
Hey, once again, and I appreciate everyone's thought process on this. We've kind of gone through from trench lessons and blocking to just all kinds of interesting concepts and thought processes here that I'm learning about. Wow, that's really interesting here. Just to kind of reset the room here a little bit, because I just see a few faces come in. A couple of shout outs to everybody. I appreciate everybody that's been sticking in here with us also. But Cope, Stick to It, EBB, Slacker, Cal Shit Die Oscar. I haven't called you that yet. My bad, bro. It's always Cal J Shiv in my brain. It just kind of comes to me automatically. Zhang Ziming, I appreciate you being in the building. Crypto Granny number 5, thank you for coming back too as well. And everybody's kind of been in and out and through the room. Appreciate all of y'all once again, and thank you so much here. Again, episode 16, Going Off Grid with Queen. We're here talking about that. Any final thoughts here? I do want to get to a little bit of the rest of this news before we close out, Queen.
No, I'm just so excited about the topics we're going to talk about tonight, and glad Mr. Lightspeed's up here. I hope you'll stay up here with us. We have a big topic on ZEC and privacy, and also about AI and some of these hacks. So would love to hear your take on that. But yeah, go ahead, Bender. I put a lot of them up in the nest. I hope I've covered most of what we're going to talk about.
I have no clue. I have no clue what we're going to talk about, Quinn. I think I probably don't have as much as you, and again, my stuff is headlines, so I'm going to let you take over here in a second. But let's see here. Week 16 here. I think we kind of talked about these earlier. U.S. sanctions Iran for their crypto exchanges. So I hope I'm pronouncing these correct, Iran. I apologize if I'm not. But Novotix, Walex, Bitpin, and Reminiscence. I don't know, y'all. Don't let me lie. I'm gonna share it down in the comments. Y'all tell me how to pronounce it. Coinbase, SpaceX, and Meta joined up for a Department of Justice $3.8 million crypto freeze. Queen, I'm not even gonna lie to you. I didn't read anything about that one. You might have to let me know about that one here in a second. Bank of America, though, appoints one of their executives as a global head of digital assets. Just found that pretty interesting. Clarity Act is now on the Senate legislative calendar. Basically, I don't know all the processes, but it's a lot closer to voting than it was yesterday for the Senate. Only had this thing a year, but that's okay. Not in a rush, especially when they were doing that stuff with the yield. That's another story. Visa, MasterCard, and Stripe. I'm kind of bullish on this, Queen. Visa, MasterCard, and Stripe are all partnering up for a stablecoin platform. Now, 5% of me says, the government wants to make sure that they can get in on the freeze party, or they're just going around freezing up everything. But the 95% of the reason why I'm bullish on this is because the Genius Act did not do anything about taxes. The Clarity Act did not do anything about taxes. However, Grok told me that there's this other one coming up. It's called the Parity Act. And that one, they might address some taxes. They're bringing it up. It's in the conversation. And as I commented to you a couple of days ago, as we know now, the stables, if you sell those, are treated like a, and this is not financial advice, y'all. Do your own research, talk to your accountant. But they are treated as a corporate tax event. So it's like, whatever that corporate range is, it's high. I think it's over 30%, in regards to that, but I think it's like 35, 40%. So yeah, I'm bullish on this because I'm thinking like, no way MasterCard, Visa, Stripe, everybody's getting involved to, start hitting people for, high tax rates when they go out and use their crypto credit card to buy a candy bar. So I'm bullish on that. Pattern day traders, bullish on them. The rule went down from $25,000 minimum on leverage down to $2,000. You only need about $100 to do spot trading now, from what I remember in regards to this one. So we can all get in the game now for about $2,000, and we just gamble our lives away along with the big time stop traders. Which, if we've seen anything about how many liquidations in the past year or so have happened on crypto Twitter, then it just sounds to me like the stock market wants in on liquidation too. Not financial advice, but yeah. Claude AI found an exploit in Zcash. I think it had a potential for unlimited mints. At the time, the Zcash was down about 48% because of this news. I think I saw something else where, behind some cloud, dark seated, wherever Zcash layer resides, that people are actually doing this. Don't quote me on that. Whoever you are out there, Zcash, allegedly, I don't know. I just saw a flash of it on Twitter the other day. But that's interesting. And then Pump Fun. this Oh my God, y'all, this is crazy. If you have not heard about this, this is already going crazy. Pump Fun, y'all, they got a real world thing going on. It's called Go Pay Anyone to Do Anything Bounties. And it's off the hinges as just as I said. So, for example, last night, somebody put out a bounty. They said if you tattoo bounty work on your forehead, we'll give you like 2 grand in soul. So this guy films it, does everything. They spell the word bounty wrong. They spell it bounty, like Bouty. So there was some conflict as to whether or not they should get paid. Well, they lost the token, of course. Bounty work, with the wrong name and everything. It did up to, I don't know, it crashed earlier from last I saw, but I'll say it did up to about 700,000. The guy ended up getting about 30 grand in creator fees. So he went from like 2,000 for doing this dare per se, and then ended up getting, like from what I'm reading on Twitter, once again, not financial advice, about 30 grand on that. And yeah, so this will be interesting. The trailer was crazy. It was showing a guy writing "chill house" on somebody's door. I really highly recommend you do not do that with everything. I will say, from what they described in the thread, though, it is some. They have to clear it. There is some legal framework behind it. They monitor everything to make sure the payouts are good. They've got a way where they're escrowing the money, I guess you could say, to pull up the do there, so people can't retract on their word with that kind of thing there too. It looks like at least a lawyer, kind of gave them some, form of, get out of jail. But yeah, the average home door is anywhere between $500 and $3,500. Do not go writing marker on anybody's door. I would really recommend you do that. And in the wrong neighborhood, that can definitely turn really bad for you. In terms of that one. So I got a few more quick to claim, but I'm gonna stop right there with everything. And if you got anything you'd like to chime in with, please. Uh-oh. Am I up here by myself again?
Nah, you're not talking to yourself.
Oh, okay.
You're resonating with the crowd big time, and I'm up here by myself without Ken's support. um, no, I totally hear you. While you were talking, I was actually also posting because it's always fun when we get motivated by what people say and then put it out there. So that's really what I was motivated by what you said and what Jen said. So that's what I was doing. But no, market wise, I I see where we are. Um, um, there were three acts I always thought when it came to all the laws and the acts that we're talking about, right, with Genesis and so on. Um, Clarity Act. But there's another stage to this, and that's what you're hitting onto, right? And so this isn't over by a long shot. Even if we see Clarity Act get through, um, we still got part three. Um, it's always been a three-part act um, for this whole thing, and so I think I'm glad you're bringing it up. We haven't hit all of the critical items. Eventually, we're going to have to get down to the rank and file. There's a pact that was, by the way, I live in Washington, D.C. So I do walk into the front doors of SEC, CFTC. I do help with some advocating here and there. And now we have a pact that stood up. And the pact is to help support development and innovation on blockchain. That you shouldn't have to hire a lawyer to defend your open source work. And so you're going to see a next round of fights, which I think is going to be part four. This was recently announced in the last few weeks. A whole pack, which is contributions of dollars or resources or just being able to put on a suit and tie and walk into the halls of Congress and push for, hey, look, I know what you're thinking, but do you really think someone that is just developing code and putting it out on the open source should be held accountable? Or is that free speech? So let's define what free speech is and help walk them through how expressing speech can be done in code. That's where we're at. You know what? My haters going to make me think, they're going to think that I'm a nobody. I get you. But here in DC, there are people doing hard work, and that's going to be part 4 Ship Bender. By the way, you got a voice that rivals Shane. I'm going to have to go tease him that there's a radio host here who needs to. If he was color commentary and you are digging into facts, you guys would make a great team, by the way. But that's a side comment. But you see what I'm saying? That even after part 3 with taxes and how we deal with regulation and how the individual has to work through all this stuff, there's still more to be done because we saw it with Tornado Cash and some of these other stuff. Is what is code? And who is a developer, and especially for developers who are in the open source realm. But let's just start there, and then we'll peel the layers off the onion with private code and everything else that's done. Let's just start with the outside layer here with open sourcing and protect them first. So that's going to be part 4.
Wow, Mr. Lightspeed, I appreciate you on that. Like I said, I'm just super bullish on the Mastercards and everybody getting in because the stable coins, I think they have to do something with the current tax rates in order to make that work. And I don't think they're getting in the game unless that's already kind of been planned out. Queen, I know you've been having connection issues. Go ahead.
Oh, good gracious, I have. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know what's wrong with my Wi-Fi, but anyway, I'm here, and one of the topics you talked about that I thought was super interesting for us and could open up a whole new topic of conversation, potentially a can of worms, was the Zcash hack that, or potential, I guess, exploit that could have happened. And I wanted to just kind of point everybody to this Decrypt article because it's in the Nest, but I thought it really went into some great detail about how this happened. And a lot of this stuff is kind of Greek to me because I'm not a developer, but it's super interesting how this stuff worked. But the security researcher that they hired, so Zcash hired the security researcher, I believe in April, to check for security flaws in their protocol. And this is a protocol that's been audited, many, many times, probably more than most chains. And this vulnerability had not been uncovered before, but it had been there for 4 years. So this crypto researcher, Taylor Hornsby, used Claude Opus 4.8, which is one of the newest versions, a frontier model, to discover this flaw in the Orchard privacy pool that could have enabled unlimited counterfeit ZEC creation. And so the interesting thing about this is that, they kind of, came back and tried to reassure everybody that, they have all the Zcash accounted for. But because of the shields that are offered as part of this Orchard pool, you don't really see, what happened, what exactly, who has what, you can't really get a full accounting of all the Zcash that's out there. So the price crash, like you said, Bender, I think it tumbled 38% at the time of this article. It's rebounded since some. But, you have people on both sides of the fence trying to, I guess, explain it in a positive light. Then you have people that, sold immediately, like Arthur Hayes. He said that if it's left to, 2 lines of code, which is what this exploit came down to, 2 lines of code that was found by this powerful AI model. He doesn't trust that the Zcash tokens are ever going to be truly accounted for. But just a few things that were kind of cool that said in this article and helped me understand it more. But it was the significance isn't really that the AI can find bugs; it's the kind of bug it can find has changed. So rather than simply flagging obvious coding mistakes, frontier models are increasingly capable of reasoning about whether software behaves the way its designers intended. So this Zcash uses ZK proofs, which is, the protocol has certain rules, and in order to be, validated, it has to be true. And so what this vulnerability did was send through several, rules, I guess, that were not true, but the protocol found that decided that it was true. And it says, it's hidden in 2 lines of code. The bug stemmed from a check that appeared to validate transaction inputs, but wasn't actually enforcing the intended rules, potentially allowing an attacker to create counterfeit SEC inside a shielded pool without detection. And this is kind of cool that this security researcher, Hornby, built a working exploit to verify the vulnerability before reporting it to developers. So he found this. Claude Opus 4.8 came out, and within 24 hours, he had found this vulnerability.
Oh, Quinn, I think we're losing. Did we lose Quinn?
Looks like she's raising her hand to come back up again.
Oh. Okay. Hopefully we'll get Queen right back here. In the meantime, big shouts out to you, Coach Storage. Appreciate you coming through too as well. We got let's see, a few others in the building. Just shout out to everybody again. I appreciate all of you. Zach from Subway, Deathwish Crypto, Space Penguins Girl, SRV, Gabby, Zane Zamin, Barkoshi, Dosi. Y'all been here from the beginning. EBB, stick to it. Everybody else, Gabby, I'm sorry, KJ Shib, I know you was here in 1 point. Big shouts out to you again, just on GP. We just, love and appreciate all of y'all. Queen, I think you're back up. Go ahead.
Yeah, am I back?
Yep.
Thanks.
Uh-oh. You were back. Gone again? Oh, gosh, y'all. We got a lot of connection issues here. Tell you what, while I'm waiting for Queen, hopefully we can get her back up here again. I'm going to send her an invite. For those out there listening right now, if you got a space, you got whatever you got going on, man, just post it down here in the comments. We're also this week, courtesy of Dosi, posting up fraud pictures. We're also, if you got some cool wildlife nature pictures or your pet or whatever, just throw those down there in the comments too. We're doing all kinds of things this week. Again, community shout out to SRV. I didn't have the tweet up earlier, SRV, so I'm gonna read it out to everybody. Like I said, I just thought this was cool. But he's building a policy and a receipt layer for AI agents. Before an AI agent edits code, commits, deploys, sends, or hands work to another model, it validates what the agent's allowed to do and creates an auto-proof receipt. Does anybody need this, or is it just me? It sounds like I'm not even building an AI agent. It sounds like something I just need, like just from maybe my conversations with the AI agents and LLMs out there. So big shouts out to SRP and everybody out there in the community this week. Once again, it's Gemini season, graduation season, week 16 here on Going Off Grid. Much love to everybody. Shout out to all the horoscopes, but I'm a Gemini, so it's our time. Gotta speak up for the homies. Queen, you back up? Queen, can you speak? I see you as a speaker. No? Okay. All right, y'all. I'm gonna continue on here for a second. Hopefully, we'll get Queen back. New York. Speaking of AI, y'all, New York is going to be the first state to mandate AI image disclosure in commercial ads. They're going to put a proposal up to do that, so we'll see how that goes. I put this up in the Jumbotron, y'all. So there's this bot in China. It's pretty famous. I've shared it quite a few times doing martial arts and all kinds of other crazy stuff. But it's called the Unitree G1. It kicks the kid, which the ones that got posted up. But if you scroll up in the quote tweet from Mario, it also punched another kid. Now, Grok was quick to point out that this was being remote controlled, but somebody also pointed to me in the comments and was like, yeah, it might be remote control, but like you shouldn't be out here. Like whatever program's going on, it shouldn't be kicking the kids and punching the kids. And I was like, yeah, I agree with that. But it's just kind of interesting, just they're normalizing the bots punching kids now. Not China advice. Anthropic calls for a worldwide AI pause because it's improving itself. I'm gonna let Queen kind of go deep off into this one, but I find it fascinating. I did read about this actually. I want to say at least 3 to 6 months ago that the engineers were kind of getting out the way of the AI just upgrading itself. And I saw something else that was pretty cool in a video by a guy that I think he was on the AI team from Google. And he was like, yeah, the LLMs and little chatbots and stuff we got out here to the public. He's like, yeah, that's nothing. He's like, the real AIs that we're testing behind the scenes that we're not letting out to the public yet, he said they're just geniuses just building on themselves, like in an entrapped area, like where they're not like accessing to other world things. He's just watching what they're doing, and it's pretty crazy. But yeah, we'll kind of see from there. Let's see here. I think Queen's still. I think she still got some connection issues. Don't let me lie. This one was a little weird. Wow. So Polymarket, right? I think we've all heard of Polymarket. So this guy, Willow 2, he makes a $500,000. I'm sorry, the bet's worth $500,000, but he bets on strategy selling before May 31st. So turns out that 32 Bitcoin sale that we talked about last week from Michael Saylor and Strategy was actually done before the 31st. The announcement, however, came out afterwards. I want to say June 1st. Don't quote me on the exact time, but it was after the 31st. And this is why I say this, because Polymarket now says, even though the bet was on selling before 31st, since it wasn't publicly announced by Strategy, this guy doesn't get the $500,000 bet. Now, I'm not a college graduate in terms of marketing or PR, but I've been around enough of it in sales to tell you it's probably went a totally wrong way for them in terms of negative publicity. However, I think if they had just gone ahead and paid out the $500,000, I think just that in transaction fees alone and people hopping on the platform from the word getting out about this guy hitting this, which something nobody thought that they would hit, I think it probably cost them about $20 million in positive PR in terms of long-term transaction. I think they would have made that back like, in a day or two and just took off for the rest of the week in terms of good vibes. But yeah, I just found that. And I think it's still ongoing. He was still talking about it the last time I checked, which was a couple of days ago with that one. Queen, I'm going to still try to get you up here. I'm just going through these, though, in the meantime, Mr. Lightspeed, because I know she had a couple of things she wanted to talk about. And these are just random ones I just picked up. But Apple. So the Apple had a third co-founder, and back in the 70s, this guy named Ronald Wayne, he put about $800 and was owner of 10% of Apple. Just to kind of give you an idea, that would be worth $455 billion today. Now, he's in his 90s. When he sold it, he said he didn't want to go through the stress and everything of that. I think they ended up kicking back later on another like $1,500 out of this just to kind of make sure that he was legally closed out with everything. But his share of Apple at 10% at the time today would be worth more than Uber, Airbnb, Pinterest, Spotify. There's a few more on this list, but like all of them combined, just to kind of give you an idea. But he also said he thinks the stress would have caused him harm, and he might not be here at 95 to see it. So he didn't seem mad about it, but I just found that interesting. Let's see here. Oh, this one's a really, really interesting one I found. So an 80-year-old woman who had Alzheimer's briefly regained her speech, her bladder control, and her memory after taking, gosh, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, psilocybin mushrooms, also known as magic mushrooms. So she was able to regain all of these for, I think it was days up to weeks. It did eventually kind of go back in, but it was the study it found that they did this for with is that basically the magic mushrooms, your memory and everything, I guess when you have Alzheimer's is still there, but there's some kind of blockage that forms where you're not getting to it, and that's what's causing the Alzheimer's. And the mushrooms were able to bypass this and get and open and reopen back her functionality and memory. So great sign. Was not a cure, that kind of thing, not medical advice, like I said at the beginning, but I found this to be very fascinating and thought that was one that should be added on the list here today. Let's see here. I'm gonna try one more time for Queen. If we can't get Queen back, y'all, I might just go ahead and close out on that note. So I think that's about all I got. But Lightspeed, sir, did you have? And thank you, Lightspeed, too. I appreciate you. Cannot say. I was just telling Queen. I don't know. She did something about Space Hostess Search or something that, and I said legit. Pulse and a few others are probably some of the best space hosts out there, and if we're ever in that conversation, we're doing something right. So I humbly appreciate you even thinking of me in that same breath, because I look up to him and others in terms of space hosts. And everything that they do. Synergy in the building, Syntax in the building. Appreciate y'all coming through, as well as everybody else hanging in here with us tonight. Again, we are week episode 16, going off grid with Queen. But Mr. Lightspeed, did you have anything else that you wanted to add?
Oh wow, yeah. In the last few sentences, I don't think I deserve everything you said. I think what is helping me the most right now over on like the Zora space and other things is that I can demonstrate that you can lift other people up. It's okay to give a compliment, right? It's okay to say nice things to other people and acknowledge what they're doing, and not feel that you are threatened or that you are going to lose something of yourself or be diminished by expending some of your social capital, right? That's what we would say in the military, right? Is you're going to do the grind, you're going to work really hard, and you're going to accumulate all this social capital, and it's like the currency. And sometimes will say, hey, look, I'm going to go in front of the colonel or the general, and I'm going to lay this all down. I'm going to spend some of my social currency right now. It's a currency, like any other form. So our reputations matter. So just if it's anything I could just say, just build it up and then toss it over to someone else. With Shane, for example, the Crypto Pulse, very very early on, we're going back to 5 years. I taught him a lesson that how did some of the big generals get up high? And I said they promoted each other. And he goes, what do you mean by that? Well, let's say it's you and me, right? And you promote and you become a general officer, and you start doing very well, but you can rely on me, and you hire me to be your deputy, and I do that job, and then I get promoted, and then I go on to another assignment, and then I propel further along in my career, and then I invite my former boss to become my deputy, right? And I promote that individual. As long as everyone's on the up and up and everyone's doing everything right? Because there's a fine line there, not to do this for all the wrong reasons. Because in the U.S. military, that will quickly and rapidly put you on a blacklist. But if you're doing it for all the right reasons and the right talents being brought onto the teams, yes, we call that riding the rocket, riding the coattails, whatever you want to call it. Find your rocket and get on board, my friends. It doesn't matter who it is. If that individual is willing to then take a step back and push their energies behind you because that's the right thing for the organization, you're dealing with selfless individuals. And that's the same thing I'm doing for you. You have never once, ever once asked me for a favor. You never once approached me, for example, and asked me to come on this space. It is me asking to come forward, and you provide me an opportunity to speak. And so therein lies how these individuals are separated in the space, I think, among certain circles. And if other people are taking notes and wondering, hey, how do I work my way around there? Um, stand on your own 2 feet. Then other people are going to get behind you. They're going to push you. Um, I'm here because of that. There are people I believe in. I want to put everything I can behind them so that they can shine even more. That's what I'm here for. I don't want any of it. I want Jen, I want Shiv Bender to continue to grow, because if I know that happens, one day I may need some of that, you know, and it's going to come full circle. Some cultures call it karma, whatever the case may be. Over on Sora, for example, it's helped me. I will shout out individuals over time and time and time again. It's never once hurt me. And so that's, I think, um, some of the things I'm trying to exhibit as my final comment with you. Is that it's okay to lift others up, be kind to individuals, to understand their struggles. And if you really see it, shout it out, go to town. Hey, let's get behind that individual. Wow. That's fun. It's okay. But we got individuals who think that their one post is worth $40,000. Literally saw some of our biggest idols over in EEI. Who think just one post is worth that much and they're going to charge it. Really? Come on, dude. You can't even push a project now. So there's any final thought I would have is, just, not focus so much on yourselves as much as helping other people and pushing other people and lifting other people up. I can't think of anything that's done me better in the space in the hardest times. I've gone through some hellish times. Thank God that I treated other people good, because I don't know where I'd be now if I was an asshole. Anyway, that's the final thought. Chip Bender, you're a great guy. Please keep these spaces coming. Thanks for allowing me to come up when I raise my hand. You do some great news, and it's making me think. Yeah, keep doing that. Keep throwing us some hard questions too. By the way, make us bend our brains and make us go. I don't know the answer to that. That's a good question. But yeah, appreciate you, my friend.
Well, thank you for Mr. Lightspeed for taking a moment to come up here and speak with us. It's always an honor when we get people like yourself in the space, and always like to soak up game, as they like to say. And that's listening actively and learning and taking notes with that one too. I will say the questions though, I gotta give credit where credit's due. Those definitely come from Queen. I literally just like to. I like crap posts like those type sheet type. Which for me are fun, But Queen's definitely the brains of the operation. She's always the one bringing in the smart stuff, the good topics, everything like that. I'm like, Pump Fun has got go do anything anywhere bounties. Great, let's talk about it. Like that's about where I'm at. So I gotta give credit where credit's due. I do try to chime in with her on some thoughtful answers. But yeah, she's definitely the one that.
I'm watching her thumbs down and her laughing, but she is a brain. She's super smart.
Yeah.
She downplays it, and you're a really good organizer and kind of playing the discussion and keeping things balanced and stuff like that. But me, you know what? I like to play all those roles, and I think I'm pretty well diversified and playing them all. But I just love the color commentary at this point these days. What are you thumbs down, Doshi? What? Why? Come on, my friend. I love you, my friend. I love you. I love all your trees, by the way. But I just love the color commentary. Maybe I said something too harsh someday, and I hurt his feelings. If that's the case, I am so sorry. I apologize, truly. I love you, my but but yeah, that's why I'm over in the color commentary these days.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know when it's a special moment when that person that is really smart tries to stay humble, and not let things go to her head, and that's why Queen. That's why you were voted uh, president at the time of She. But not just. I'm not saying that because we don't want to go there with that, but just the belief system that communities have in you and your demonstration. And since you can't come back up and say anything to me, I'm just going to lay it on thick right now. So there you go. Clifford in the building. Appreciate you, my guy. Roboshi. And everybody that's been in here. My final thoughts. First off, again, shouting out everybody in the room. Crypto Queen, Mr. Light, thank you for coming up here and talking tonight. Coach George, Definitely Crypto, Space Penguin Girl, SRV, Gabby, Crypto Granny number 5, Zhang Ziming, Clifford Raboshi, once again, Barkoshi, Cal, Shib, Da Oscar in the building, Dosey in the building, been here all night. First one in the building. Appreciate you. Syntax, thank you for hanging in there with us for a few minutes. Here on Going Off Grid, episode 16 with Queen. Lessons from the trenches and more. I'm going to leave it short and sweet, y'all. I've kind of went through some things tonight. I feel great. At the same time, I'm glad I was able to kind of speak up on some of these topics here. One thing I did leave out, and I just want to make sure I address this, going back to that section 622 and 2245 FY 27 of the Intelligence Authorization Act. Do your research on it. Please ask Rock questions. I pinned the post up in the tweet. There's a lot of information going out there around with this. But I also don't like to be an alarmist. I also don't like to just complain about things. I also like to bring solutions to the table. And I just want to let y'all know that the Congress had also, within the past year, had tried to bring up a AI bill that was not going to give states any rights to intervene with the tech companies. That got pulled out of an overall bill. There's been numerous other ones. I'm not going to go into all the examples that could have been life-changing and very detrimental to society that were kind of getting snuck into bills. And people have been on here with the AI, finding out information, breaking it down, calling it out, getting Congress people on the phone, letting them know as a voter and a citizen of the U.S., they didn't want this, and these things were removed. So what I encourage you to do, and if y'all need a number, let me know. But it's free, searchable, easy on your search engine out there. But get a hold of your local your representative, your state, your local, your federal level, whatever. Probably the federal level in this case, since that's where the bill is at with the House and the Senate. Please, take a moment, leave a voicemail, let them know. There's different avenues you can do. I think, though, the calling to the office gets people's attention. That's what it seems like every time I've done that in the past. Clarity Act, look what we did there. We uncovered some things. The bill has been, revamped and revised because of it. So our voices are mattering somewhere. And just to be honest with you, we got nothing to lose. Why not? In terms of that. But we are U.S. citizens, and if we exercise our rights, then hopefully that keeps freedom alive. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Everyone else out there, be safe in your travels. Take care, and may God bless you. Love you all. Join some spaces tomorrow night. Beyond the Blockchain. Treat Gabby, seat at the table, whoever you got. Join some spaces. Support your local, global communities. All right. We're out. Oh, and thank you again, Quinn. Appreciate you. Did a great job today, as always.
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.